Armin adjusted the worn cap on his head as he maneuvered his old delivery van through the morning traffic. The streets buzzed with honking cars, rickshaws cutting lanes, and motorcycles weaving dangerously between vehicles. He checked the clock on the dashboard. He was already tight on schedule. One late delivery and his supervisor would chew him out again. Armin had learned to live by the clock. Every minute mattered in his job. But then, at the edge of the road near a bus stop, he noticed a girl waving her arms desperately at passing cars. She looked young, maybe 20, and was dragging a heavy suitcase behind her. Taxi after taxi passed her by without stopping. Her face was flushed with panic, eyes darting around as though every second was slipping through her fingers. Armin slowed instinctively. He wasn't supposed to. He had a list of packages in the back and a deadline. But something tugged at him. Rolling down the window, he called out, "Hey, you okay?" The girl rushed toward his van, breathless. "Please, can you help me? I need to get to the airport. No taxi's stopping, and my flight's in less than an hour. If I miss it..." Her voice trailed off, her lips trembling as if the thought alone crushed her. Armin hesitated, gripping the steering wheel tightly. His supervisor's voice echoed in his head, "No detours. No delays. No excuses." This was exactly the kind of situation that could cost him his job. But looking at her, so desperate, clutching her suitcase like it was her lifeline, he couldn't bring himself to drive away. He sighed, knowing he was about to make a choice that could change everything. "Get in," he said, opening the passenger door. Her eyes widened with relief. "Really, thank you, thank you." She climbed in, fumbling with the seatbelt, still trembling from nerves. Armin pulled back into traffic, glancing at her from the corner of his eye. "Why's this flight so important?" he asked. She looked at him, her expression shifting from fear to fragile determination. "It's not just a flight. It's my chance. A scholarship abroad. My family sacrificed everything for me. If I don't make it, I lose it all." Armin tightened his grip on the wheel. Deliveries could wait. For her, this wasn't just about reaching the airport, it was about reaching her future. The city traffic felt like a cruel joke that morning. Every red light seemed longer than the last. Every slow driver in front of Armin felt like an obstacle placed by fate. His phone buzzed again on the dashboard, his supervisor's name flashing across the screen. He ignored it, jaw tightening. If he answered, he'd lose precious minutes, and he already knew what his boss would say: "Stick to the route, Armin." No excuses. Beside him, the girl clutched the seatbelt tightly, her knuckles pale. "Please, can't you go faster?" she whispered, her voice breaking. Armin glanced at her and saw tears pooling in her eyes. She was trying to stay strong, but the weight of what was at stake was too heavy for someone her age. "You'll make it," Armin assured her, though inside he wasn't so sure. He pressed harder on the accelerator, weaving through narrow gaps, ignoring the honks and curses of other drivers. His van wasn't built for speed, but today it roared down the lanes as if it understood the urgency. Between deep breaths, the girl began to explain. "This scholarship, it's everything. My father sold his land so I could study. My mother's been working double shifts. I can't." Her voice cracked, and she turned away, staring out the window, hiding her trembling. "If I miss this flight, all their sacrifices are wasted. I'll never forgive myself." Her words hit Armin like a weight in his chest. He thought about his own mother waiting at home, counting on his salary to pay for medicine and groceries. He knew what it meant when a family sacrificed everything for one person's chance. In that moment, she wasn't just a stranger, she was a mirror of his own struggles. Finally, after what felt like a battlefield of horns and near misses, the airport sign came into view. Relief washed over the girl's face, and she let out a choked laugh of disbelief. "We made it. We actually made it." Armin swerved into the drop-off lane, braking hard. She grabbed her suitcase and turned to him, her eyes shining with gratitude. "I don't even know your name, but I swear I'll never forget this. You didn't just get me to the airport, you saved my future." Before he could respond, she rushed out, swallowed by the crowd of travelers. Armin sat there, staring after her, the echo of her words ringing in his mind. Relief for her was sweet, but dread crept in for him. He was already far too late for his deliveries. Armin sat in the manager's office, his cap clenched in his hands. The air inside felt heavier than the humid streets outside. Across the desk, his supervisor, Mr. Kasim, tapped a pen impatiently against a clipboard stacked with delivery reports. The sharp tap 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 made Armin's chest tighten. You were 3 hours late on your route, Qasim said flatly, not bothering to hide his irritation. 3 hours, Armin, do you know how many customer complaints I've dealt with today? Do you have any idea what that does to our reputation? Armin swallowed hard. Sir, I know I messed up, but it wasn't without reason. There was this girl. Qasim cut him off with a raised hand. I don't want to hear about some girl. This isn't a charity. You're paid to deliver packages, not to play hero. His voice was sharp, each word like a nail being hammered into Armin's chest. Armin's knuckles whitened around his cap. He wanted to explain that sometimes life wasn't just about schedules and deadlines, that maybe saving someone's dream was worth more than a few delayed parcels. But as he looked at Qasim's cold, businesslike stare, he knew his words would fall on deaf ears. Hand over your ID and your uniform, Qasim said, scribbling something on the clipboard. You're done here, effective immediately. The finality of the words crushed him. Armin hesitated, then slowly unbuttoned his faded blue delivery jacket, the one he had worn in sun, rain, and sleepless nights. He placed it on the desk with trembling hands, followed by his ID card. It felt like laying down pieces of himself. Walking out of the office, he carried nothing but the echo of his manager's voice in his head. Outside, the world continued as normal, colleagues loading vans, drivers laughing at jokes, but for Armin, everything had shifted. The weight of failure pressed on his shoulders heavier than any package he had ever carried. That night, he sat at the edge of his bed in the small apartment he shared with his mother. She peeked out of the kitchen, concern etched on her face. You didn't get paid today? She asked softly. Armin forced a smile, but his eyes betrayed him. Not today, Amma, maybe next week. As she turned back to stir the pot on the stove, Armin buried his face in his hands. For the first time in years, he felt utterly defeated. The good deed he had done now felt like the biggest mistake of his life. 3 restless days passed, each one heavier than the last. Armin woke up early out of habit, but with no uniform to wear, no packages to load, and no destinations to reach, his mornings stretched into long silences. The bills stacked up on the table, and his mother's gentle questions, any news? Any work? Only deepened the ache in his chest. He replayed that day over and over. The girl's frantic face, her words about the scholarship, her grateful smile at the airport. Had it all been worth losing his livelihood? On the 4th afternoon, as he sat staring blankly at his cracked phone screen, it rang with an unknown number. Armin almost ignored it, thinking it was another creditor. But something in him made him swipe the green icon. Hello. His voice was hoarse. Is this, Armin? The voice on the other end was familiar, bright, full of life. His heart skipped. Yes, it's me, he said cautiously. It's me, the girl from the airport. She exclaimed. I made it. I caught the flight. I'm here, in my new university. And I told them everything you did for me. Armin sat up straight, pulse racing. You remembered. She laughed softly. How could I forget the man who saved my future? They were so moved by your story that the head of the university's logistics department reached out. They said they're looking for someone like you, quick thinking, dependable under pressure. They want to offer you a position. A stable one, much better than what you lost. For a moment, Armin couldn't speak. He looked around his tiny apartment, the peeling paint on the walls, his mother humming faintly in the kitchen. Was this real? You're serious? His voice cracked with disbelief. Absolutely, she said warmly. They'll call you officially tomorrow. I gave them your number. This is just me, saying thank you again. You didn't just help me catch a flight, you gave me hope. Tears stung Armin's eyes. He pressed the phone tightly to his ear, overwhelmed. The job he lost because of a choice of kindness was now opening a door to something far greater. When he hung up, he whispered a prayer of gratitude. For once, doing the right thing hadn't destroyed him, it had saved him. Sometimes, life takes everything away just to give you back something you never imagined.